star 1978 star 8378 Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm here. This is the flag that flies in most of the places around here. For my purpose, I don't have a white flag per se, but they said to put white over the flag where your feet are. Just call it a hunch between a space between here and there. Since I don't know what's respectful, what's not respectful. How do you wave a white flag for safety purposes when you're frightened of everything that goes bump in the night, and during the day you find out some more frightening details when the broadcast and journalists actually do investigative work and tell the story right, which they're not telling the story correctly. They're telling the story from the problem perspective as if it already exists in the correct format, which it does not. This is the brokenness, and these are reporting from the brokenness as if they did a good job. Problem is that there was a break-in. Don't know if you heard about it. Its name was Barack Obama, into the White House. That was a security breach. That type of man breaks into your house, you call the police. It's plain and simple. So now my problem is now that for some reason led some people false security that was an acceptable event, which it was not. I'm not all right with it. Wasn't all right with it then, still not all right with it now. And it's a precursor, it appears, to a much more dangerous trend. Now, I've seen, I don't know what happens in my life frame, growing up in that flag. I've been pretty much withheld from anything. This morning I heard one of the reporters mention civics. It's something to do with community, and he was a foreign national. He said it had something to do with community and community service. Now, why do the foreign nationals know that there's civic duty and responsibility, but the kids who were born here and have rock wall with National Guard, National Monument being the Rushmore kids, and past ancestry here with some green paper, why is it that they have not been given the same level minimum education as the foreign national kids? I'm just curious. I mean, I know the imbeciles are involved here somehow. I just don't know why at rock, paper, scissors my imbeciles are not winning this fight. Or imbecilic. I don't know which one they want in proper recognition. But this I found today. It's the first Black woman in charge of nuclear arms. Now, I'm just curious to anything that served a country and wanted to make it proud. I mean, again, I have 4 children here. I don't want to embarrass them, but I'm embarrassed by what I inherited from responsibility. And realizing just how out of touch I was held and not sure why while all of this was going on. I don't know how to get to a UN or a UN meeting, even though they have one in New York. The city is under some mayoral management that looks very foreign national. They're not my imbeciles. And they're not my embassy either, just for clarity. And now, it used to be like, if we go back to like 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s with presidents, U.S. presidents, might I add, when the White House was still kept white and there was no dream of ever letting anyone come visit or squat or break into the White House because they had the correct management in charge. So now, back then, when things were in like a perfect world scenario, the thought of having nuclear weapons in the hands of the enemy was like the scariest thing on the agenda. And like, I would theoretically propose that the good ancestors and management, the ones that match the profile of Mount Rushmore and the paper, no matter what their whatever was, wanted to keep nuclear weapons, like, locked away in safe whatever. So if that's the case, then why was there ever an opportunity that arose to let foreign nationals, definitely not past president's ancestry, ever even have an opportunity to enter the White House or have an executive anything possibility, with national security being like utmost priority? Why would you let a foreign national into a nationally secure location and have access to build quietly a whole regime or scheme or schematic to change the world landscape for generations to come, or to advance over your own secure familyhood? Because that's what they've actually done in past administration. I don't know whose, but it led up to one of the scariest events that I don't ever hear anybody talking about. And now I see on today, on really scary things, they put some non-familial member in charge of nuclear arms and security. I mean, I know that there are people who work in this field. What I am unclear on is why these problems are not eradicated before they actually become a problem.
Yes, the Bronx to the Biden administration was the journey for our barrier-breaking next guest. That's right.
The Bronx, Bronx, to the Biden administration. So there's their path to one of the scariest national security breaks in history that nobody's speaking about properly.
That's right. Her name is Bonnie Jenkins, and she is the Undersecretary of State for Arms Control and International Security, the first African-American to achieve that title.
Whoa, so let me get this straight. Nuclear committee. There's an us. There's a U.S. There's definitely Roosevelts, Jeffersons, Washingtons that do not look like this. They look like me. They're that European breed that's been on all the European artwork, and they're on the Mount Rushmore. They match the green paper. I'm just curious, how on earth, when that's my national security, my children's national security, my parents' national security, how on earth was it missed? And why was the job title just handed over to this woman? It's like handing a nuclear weapon over to the Africans in this genetic category. Because they're African. They say that she's African, but she's functioning in an America. That gets really frightening. Why do I not have more people deducing this rationale? I mean, it's not an irrational rationale. It's very rational. It's very logical. It's very frightening. It's divisible in invisible numerology based on certain projections that were done in really big industrious category that knew that this could be a possibility. Why was it not thwarted before it even became?
Title of Undersecretary.
So now, who's reporting this? Well, here's whatever this is, Twitter and something else. Here's the woman, here's this. It's on ABC, and it's on GMA, What You Need to Know. I can't get to a UN council. Is this what it looks like? Why was she offered the job before I was ever even considered? I've been in New York. She's from the Bronx. I'm from Queens and Long Island. I've been looking for employment. Why was I not even considered or groomed for this position? Why was she chosen for this? Or why was she allowed to even, let's say, shoot for it?
Secretary of State. She has an impressive resume in diplomacy and security around.
And now, who is this gentleman? Another non-family member, another non-European descent, another non-North American. Just curious. Why is this like a power couple? And how did that U.S. position get handed over to anything? I mean, in every spy movie there ever was, national security is like utmost important. It's the president's life, which at the moment would be President Joe Biden. It's the president's life that they protect first and foremost, most important position on the entire planet for whatever he does for the family. And then there's the national security is always the most biggest concern, like the big, like bone rattling, chilling, like, oh my God, before anything else, you protect the president and you protect national security. That's always in the movies. So now, being that real life and movies have some kind of overlay, why was the responsibility not followed on that intensity? And why at any point would you give over-classified information directly to something that's non-familial?
Chemical, biological weapons, and weapons of mass destruction. And certainly all of that, unfortunately, is very relevant today. Joining us now is
It is, and for some reason she's in charge of it. But she's in charge of biological weapons and chemical weapons. Who made that decision? And why? And how?
Undersecretary Bonnie Jenkins. Undersecretary, thank you so much for being with us, madam. The sanctions, let's talk about Russia. The sanctions have not stopped Vladimir Putin and his attack on Ukraine.
And apparently this is the first time, supposedly, allegedly, they're saying it's the first time, first black woman ever elected or whatever it is into this position. There are some things that shouldn't even ever get to the first stage. Compromising biological security is one of them.
Ukraine, and unfortunately, we have seen growing civilian deaths, entire cities being destroyed. Where do you see this? How do you see this ending?
Well, I really see. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here this afternoon. I really appreciate it. And basically, we see this is ending in a way which Putin will fail, but so Russia will fail. No matter how many casualties happen, no matter how many negative things happen, you're not winning the hearts and minds of the Ukrainians.
This quote.
I don't even want to hear her speak, but it's almost like I feel I need a sample of what is, like, I mean, what the extent of what the intonation is on what this woman is responsible for. And then to sample how she speaks, and in some categorical, like, whatever, interaction. But then to hear coming out is this like John Cena against The Rock with like Stone Cold Steve Austin in like they're in Nassau Coliseum? Or is this actually the frightening reality for which my children have a future that rests upon this woman's shoulders and upon the rest of like reality to wake the hell up?
Secretary General, the prospect of nuclear conflict, once unthinkable, is now back within the realm of possibility. Given your work to make sure, again, your title has arms control in it, but given a statement like that, it gives kind of a lot of us, lay people, chills. But for someone with your expertise and your knowledge, when you hear something like that, what do you think, and are you in agreement that that is something in the realm of possibility?
Well, first of all, I think it's very irresponsible for Russia to be making those kind of statements. They have not been threatened with nuclear weapons. We have not put our troops of NATO into Ukraine. So it's an irresponsible statement. But I want people to understand that there is continued to be a norm against the use of nuclear weapons. There continues to be a treaty called the Non-Proliferation Treaty that has a number of states, over 180 states, that are party to.
That is information she's privy to before I am. I am working off of, this is how awful the intelligence is in my area. The school that is already infiltrated with the problem, being her, took down the flag, being this flag, wrapped the school, shrouded it in black, and this is it's pretty much just holding my son captive during the day in some like really pathetic babysitting project because he's really not learning at any level that he needs to be fitted and suited for a future. In benchmarks against other nation states, it is absolutely sociopathic the way that he's being treated. And here's what, that's it. Not big, long, extensive books. This is our whatever. And here, this. But yet, this seems unassuming and like not that big of a deal. This right here, this visual, huge deal. That in just a few decades, whatever used to protect and defend the family, our genetics, our livelihood, has been completely, broken down and just handed over to a non-family member? I'm confused at what level humans are functioning at the moment, and how on scripts and storylines and behavioral modification on keyboards with antenna signal coming to the action figures in the field. How is it that the mental capacity has been so diminished that the story scripts have changed so significantly at huge bioengineering firms? Don't know who they are. Don't know how they work. But what I'm really frightened about is that the White House has not stayed consistently family white. That's a huge sign and symbol of an even bigger concern. And then trying to speak to the generation just before me about these concerns. And they make it sound as though one is psychologically damaged. And I'm like, yeah, one of us is, and it's not me. One of us has our eyes wide open and has children and grandchildren to think about. One of us, being the generation before, has had their natural instinct completely dissolved or deleted away in biological programming. And it's really frightening. And somehow, along those lines, since some of management has gone disappearing or there's lack of process in that really crucial peak area, things like bad decision making and bad elections or bad nominations have been allowed to happen. And now all of a sudden I wake up and this is what's functioning somewhere secretly because I'm in age 43. Today's March 15th, 2022. And today I'm made aware of this, but this has been going on for a few years now. Obama's whatever year that was. And these, again, there's a lot of headlines. There's not a lot of headlines from an intelligent being addressing these major concerns. And I get that there are functions that need to work in some quiet area somewhere, but it kind of negates one another, doesn't it? When you put nuclear weapons and arms dealing in the hands of this, with national secrets being compromised because she has better national intelligence than I do within this system, which is frightening. How can we share the same intelligence system? How are we sharing the same anything? I've heard I'm U.S.A. Whatever that means. This is another symbol that she goes by. But again, these are things that come through New York State broadcasting and media. There's some federal integration with it. I don't know what or how. And I also know that the state is not running on a clean, neat, and tidy anything. So now, is she really functioning somewhere? Is where she shows up really a council of some sort? Who authorized that? How do you shut it down? I mean, there's really serious things going on being brought out to the public. And I really see things changing in a very dangerous manner. I'm not clear where to go for serious help, as like Jane Doe. I have 4 John Does that I'm responsible for. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.